My Lords, I have 2 points to raise, and following the Reverend Prelate, the most Right Reverend Prelate, the Bishop of Leeds, can I start by saying this is, of course, a sensitive subject, and can I agree with him that even though this is the day of burial of Sir David Amess, and he's in our thoughts, my points, I do not wish to criticise the police and their conduct on that day. I don't wish to talk about that incident. I want to talk at a slightly more abstract level, and I appreciate that anyone who's in charge of a crime scene on that day faced a difficult decision, and it's not for me to criticise what they did at that time. That's not my point. I want to stand back, and first of all, my first point is to ask a more abstract question, which is, who owns a death? The assumption, especially when a death is violent or in emergency circumstances, the assumption is that the death is owned by the state. It's owned by the police and by the ambulance service, primarily. That they are in charge. It belongs to them. And everybody else has to have permission to be admitted. Even the Right Reverend Prelate, the Bishop of Leeds, sort of admitted that and gave that point away by saying that police needed better training to understand why and when they should admit people to the scene. I'd go a little bit further. I would say that the claims of the police and the ambulance service have to be understood and considered in the light of other claims. And those other claims include the claims of the family, and indeed they include the claims of the dying persons themselves as to who owns what is going on, who has a say. And if we simply collapse into thinking that it's just a matter of getting better police procedure, we are, I think, conceding the major point. Of course it is in the public interest that a criminal who has killed people should be brought to justice. And of course it's in the public interest that their trial should be fair and that the evidence should be preserved. But that is not the only interest in a death. It is not the only subject. And, as I say, there are other claims. We should consider them. This morning, as some noble lords know, there was an oral question in my name on the order paper on just this topic. One noble lord genuinely asked the question, has this subject ever come up before? He meant, I think, has it ever come to a ministerial desk before? And the answer of my noble friend was that she thought not. It was that it was the Amess case had brought it to public attention, but it hadn't really come up before. But, my lords, the real answer to that question is yes, yes, yes. It has come up before. It has come up, for example, at the Manchester Arena. It has come up countless times in care homes over the last year throughout this country. It just doesn't rise to the level of ministers' desks. And part of that is because, and here, my lords, I have to admit I've taken some advice from a distinguished academic specialising in emergency response. It's partly because I am told by her that there is indeed police training on this subject, but the training is primarily focused on how to explain to the families afterwards why the priest wasn't allowed in. That's the main focus of police training, rather than training them to think what are the circumstances in which we might relinquish our claim, valid though it is, in order to respect the claims of others. So that really was my first point, and I think we should reflect on that. My second point is a little bit more practical. We can do this better if we want to. We have done it better in the past. I was told today, again by the same distinguished academic, that there are lovely pictures from the Second World War of ARP wardens going in, arduous and horrible work, going into bomb sites immediately after a bomb to try and rescue the dying and recover the dead, accompanied by clergy with ARP clergy written on their tin hats, because it was assumed that these people were correctly and properly embedded in any team that was going to identify, to seek to rescue and find people who were dying in the wake of a bomb. Of course, in those circumstances, there was no question of identifying the perpetrator. I mean, the perpetrator was well known and they weren't going to be brought to criminal trial on that basis. But if you go to other countries, and here I'm treading on slightly uncertain ground for me, but if you go, for example, to Israel, I am told that where you have bombs, where you have emergency responses, that there are people again embedded. They would not be clergy because Judaism operates in a different way. There is no function, as I understand it, reserved to a clergyman in Judaism that cannot be carried out by a layperson. But these people are embedded with the police because although the approach to death is slightly different, and it isn't a question of last rites for the dying, it is more a case of the proper treatment of the dead, they are embedded with the police, and it is all well understood. And then my noble friend Lord Moynihan, in responding to the question, or asking a supplementary question this morning, drew attention to practice in certain US states, where again there is a much better relationship, a working relationship, between the police and what are called faith groups in exactly these circumstances. Excuse me. So that illustrates, if I may, my Lord, that illustrates, if I may, my lords, I think the 2 points that we need to ask ourselves some radical questions about who is in charge in these circumstances and who has a claim, not merely a petitioner, not merely standing at the door asking, but who has a claim to be there at a death. And secondly, if we want to, we can do better. And that is why this morning I asked my noble friend if she would at least undertake a study which looked at practice in other countries and jurisdictions to see how they do it and see what we can learn from that. I think we would benefit greatly from that. I don't ask any more.